Okay.
Okay. Well, we're live. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Married.Mommy.Maestra. Bienvenidos a otro capítulo de Married.Mommy.Maestra. In case you didn't get the memo, we're in Spanish too. So,
I watched.
Would you like to introduce yourself? Who are you?
Yes. Okay. So my name is Bailey. I am so excited to be here. I've always wanted to be on a podcast, and I've been waiting for Bianca to ask me to come on her podcast, and it never happened. So it's like, when you have a crush on someone, you're like, who's going to ask first? So I just asked. I was like, can I be on a podcast? So she graciously extended an invite to have me here today, and I couldn't be more excited. I recently got into listening to podcasts. It's kind of a new thing for me. So yeah, that's been really fun and really interesting, and I'm just love chatting and talking shit and shooting the shit. It's like my favorite thing to do. So I'm like, this will be perfect. I met Bianca when we were both working together, and I had started work and things got a little crazy, and so we had hired some extra support, and I was blessed with Bianca. I literally couldn't have gotten any more lucky. She saved my life on a daily basis, no joke. I wouldn't have made it through my first or second or third year teaching without you. So we have a bond, when you go through some shit together. Can we cuss?
Yeah.
Okay. When you go through some shit together, you gotta, I know. The lights.
Should we just turn it off?
Yes, you could turn it off.
Where's the thing? Is it this?
Nice. Okay. And yeah, it's a little bit about me. I am no longer a teacher. I work in tech sales, so I get to work from home, which is amazing. And my partner has the same job as me, so that's fun because we get to just try things out together and learn as we go and help each other out. So that's been nice. I live in Pearland, Texas. I bought a house 2 years ago. I have a dog, Kojo. He's amazing. If you know, you know. And that's pretty much it about me. It's my introduction.
Do you want to do it in Spanish? You think you can do it in Spanish?
Oh my God. Bianca, you've been my translator.
I know, that literally was my job. So, ella es Bailey. A nosotras nos conocimos cuando estábamos trabajando juntas en la última escuela donde estaba. Ella empezó su primer año de maestra y algunas cosas empezaron a estar un poco locas y decidieron contratar a alguien para ayudarle, y fue donde yo vine. Dice que yo le salvé la vida todos los días, which thanks for saying that. I like to think that I did.
Oh, Bianca, there's no denying it. No one in that building would deny. I mean, I know the other teachers used to be like, you think you have it bad, you have Bianca. And I'm like, yeah, the audacity of me to complain about the workload. Bianca is literally coming in every day, here's a new seating chart, here's all the papers graded, I did the handouts, everything's in alphabetical order, I cleaned the library, everyone checked out books. I'm like, okay, great. My only job here is to execute this little lesson. Yeah, it was perfect. She's the best person you could have for something like that.
Thanks. Now I'm going to start crying.
You are the best.
So, ella ya no es maestra, trabaja en tech y vive en Pearland. Compró una casa hace 2 años. Tiene un perro, se llama Kojo. And fun fact, I'm the first one here in this house, so I feel very special.
Yes, she's my first friend that, besides family and stuff, the first friend I've had over.
You were like, you want to come over here? Yes.
I know. I was like, oh, that could be fun. See my house.
Okay, so what got you into teaching in the first place before we get to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, just really that kind of like, we're going to save the world, right? Like the world needs saving. It's clearly what we're doing now isn't working. And what better place to start than with the children? I really spent a lot of time, because I was a sociology and philosophy major in college. I spent a lot of time talking about the problems of the world, like where we go wrong, where there are gaps, where there's all these injustices and inequities, and how the systems are created. And I'm like, if you're going to change it, you have to teach the next generation better. And hot take, but I believe the next generation, they get it. I think they get it. I have a lot of hope. Technology is another thing, like if they'll even get a chance, or if they'll be living in a virtual world, that's a whole nother conversation. But I got into teaching because I really found kids and education to be the most promising means of social progress.
Yeah.
That's why I got into teaching.
Le pregunté por qué ella decidió ser una maestra. Y dijo que, I mean, es lo mismo que todas las maestras dicen, queremos cambiar el mundo, you know, y la mejor manera para poder hacer eso es empezar con los niños en la próxima generación. Y ella piensa que la próxima generación va a ser mejor, pero también depende de cómo van a vivir su vida, porque ahora tenemos tecnología y es una conversación completamente diferente, pero esa fue la razón por qué ella empezó a ser maestra. So what got you out of teaching?
Well, honestly, like all the love and respect to teachers, I think it is just such an undervalued, underpaid profession, and I think ultimately that's a bit of what got me out of it. I felt a little bit stuck, and I was young. So I felt like, okay, and just to keep it real here, like I need to be able to have goals for myself and not have a fixed income.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was really hard for me about teaching is you have that like fixed income, and unless you're taking on a bunch of different roles you'll receive like stipends and bonuses and stuff like that but is a lot of work to take on top of what is already a lot of work being a teacher, then your money is kind of capped until you spend like 25 years in the field, you know. But I had a lot of goals for myself, the kind of life that I wanted to build, the kind of future I wanted to build, the things that I wanted to be able to have access to. And so I was like, okay, it's not going to work to stay in the classroom. I'm doing the math isn't mathing. So I'm like, let me figure out a different way of like a different career. What would I be good at? And so that's kind of where it started. And I really didn't abandon education or necessarily like schools, like being physically in the school right away. I toyed with the idea like, okay, do I want to go into administration? But then I would look at the administrators and I'd be like, I do not want their job. Yep. Their job is, and it always comes down to, I remember I had this one moment where my principal's boss was on campus. And I was looking at my principal being like, okay, well, this isn't really any different. Like, you're just doing what they say. They're telling you that based off of what they say way up there. And it's just the trickle down. And it was just kind of like the hamster on the wheel, you know? I just felt like I was on the hamster wheel and there was no way of stopping the spinning unless you just get completely off. I didn't want to go into administration. That seemed kind of like the only viable option. And I also wanted to be challenged. I think that was a big piece for me that I kept coming back to, is like, teaching is challenging because it's just the nature of the job, dealing with children and like trying to get them to like grasp concepts and make it really, you know, relevant to them, and to learn to love and appreciate all of them for who they are and all the different personalities, and on a day-to-day basis. It's a lot of work. But I did feel like after a while, I remember one year, and this is just like, I say this with absolute love and respect, but I just remember one year I had a superior who was supposed to be coaching me and was coming to me for everything. Like, how do you do that? Or how about you run this meeting? And it's great. So I'm like, I will gladly run the meeting on behalf of myself and everyone that's a part of this meeting. It would be the best outcome if I ran it, not you. Mm-hmm. So I didn't mind that, but I did start to think, okay, but that means my development's now getting put on a back burner. Yeah. And I'm young. I was like 23, 24 when I left the classroom. So I was 24, 25 when I left the classroom. So I just kind of was like, I think there's more out there. And it was scary, but I was like, I'm going to take the leap and I'm going to go try and build something else. And I'm a certified teacher, so in worst case scenario, I need to like go back into teaching. I know it's something that like I love. Like I love kids. I love working with kids. I think every teacher I know has that like true passion for kids. So it just kind of seemed like it was going to be okay. I just needed to take the leap for me, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we all realized because we all started kind of trickling out of there. It was like, we're not going to break the cycle unless we're completely off of it.
Yes. Like, yes. You have to just, there's certain situations you just have to remove yourself. We teach it to our kids, but then we won't do it ourselves. Yeah. So it's one of those like, and it was funny because when I quit, actually, my kids totally understood. They totally understood. And it was just one of those moments to me where I was like, they're everything right with the world, you know? It was everything else, everyone else that was like, oh, you know, the side eyes or whatever, but the kids get it, and they respect it. And I told them, I said, hey, look, one day I hope that this is a decision, if you all had the opportunity I have, I would want you to take it. So what do I look like not taking it, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing that we forget is we're teaching them to do these things to better themselves, to choose whatever is best for them, and then we won't do it ourselves.
Right. You're like, take care of yourself, but then we come in stressed out. Hair unwashed, you know, and it happens. I still wake up, I work from home, I still wake up and don't wash my hair. Another story for another time. There will be a lot of those, but I believe that.
Okay, so le pregunté, what was the original question?
Why did you leave?
Why did you leave? ¿Por qué se fue de ser maestra? Y fue una variedad de cosas, una empezando por, geez Louise, there I go, losing my life.
You're doing great. I talked a lot. I'll keep it short next time.
Like, no, you can go off.
First, the money. Second, the development.
Okay, so, obvio, ya hemos platicado mucho en este podcast que los maestros no los evalúan como deberían, y ella decidió que para el tipo de vida que quería vivir, todos los planes que quería, el futuro que ella se miraba para ella misma, se dio cuenta que no iba a poder tener esa vida quedándose con el salario de ser una maestra. Entonces esa fue una de las mayores razones por las que se fue. También se dio cuenta que era muy joven y no estaba developing. Challenged. Mom, ayúdame. Damn. I really am drawing a blank. Michaela completed a drive. It's my Life 360 app.
What's a 360 app?
Life 360?
I've never heard of it.
So it's like a find my friend thing challenge in Spanish. Jeez Louise. Desafío, quería más desafío con su vida, y entonces por eso fue que decidió salirse. Se dio cuenta que estaba en un ciclo que no iba a poder parar. La única manera en la que podría pararse es si se salía completamente, y es lo que yo le estaba contando, que porque ya saben que hemos sido varias en este show que estábamos trabajando en el mismo lugar. Y todas casi nos salimos una detrás de la otra porque nos dimos cuenta que era un ciclo que nunca se iba a parar, y nos tuvimos que salir completamente de la situación para poder seguir con nuestra vida. Y nos contó de una historia donde ella tenía un coach que él, supuestamente le tenía que ayudar a ella y terminó pidiéndole a ella que tomara posiciones de que ella tenía que hacer en vez de la persona que se suponía que tenía que hacerlo. Y ella dijo, ok, yo lo hago porque como quiera sería mejor que yo lo haga, que tú lo hagas, así se hace mejor y correctamente. Yeah, that whole coaching thing it was so, I was like translating the thing about the coaching thing, and I have some tidbits on that too.
Oh,
because
please.
So when I taught, which by the way, in case I've never mentioned it on my show, I taught a class as not a teacher, because I'm not a teacher. We all know that. But I was given a class to teach. Like I taught
you
Spanish.
Were a full-on teacher.
I did lesson plans, the whole thing.
Grades, attendance.
And so I was given a coach, right? Because that's what you do. You get a coach when you're a teacher, so that they're able to like develop you as a teacher and like further your career or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I never had not one conversation about anything with my coach other than because it was when I was pregnant. I got one email from my coach that year. When are you coming back to campus? Yep. So I was like, no. And I was being still paid as a teacher assistant.
That is criminal. When I found that out, I remember being outraged for you. It is so much work. Outside of school hours too, which is why you can't be paid like you're an assistant because you're working beyond your normal hours. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be accepting an hourly wage.
Yep, that was crazy. And I did it more for the development. I was like, oh yeah, because I know that I want to be in a like classroom for the foreseeable future. And if I get this experience as a teacher, I'm doing the lesson plans, I'm doing the grading, I'm doing all of this, all the planning, and I'm going to be developed by a coach. Nope.
I know, and I mean, that's obviously not the case everywhere. I've heard people talk about having, coaches that were life-changing to where they're really great teachers and they will say, I owe everything to this person, and what I would have done to have an experience like that. I mean, I'm happy for everyone who does have that experience, but yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting situation, the one that we were in. But yeah, so yo fui maestra de español un año en esa escuela y fue el año de COVID, entonces yo estaba trabajando de casa y yo tuve una conversación con mi coach en todo el año y fue cuando me preguntó que cuándo iba a regresar a la escuela después de tener mi hija. So, pero dice, and me too, like I know people who are like, I would be nowhere without my coach. So, conocemos personas que tienen esa ayuda, ese apoyo. Desafortunadamente, eso no fue lo que nos tocó a nosotras.
What is your favorite time of year as a teacher?
That's a good question.
And then least favorite.
I feel like that has changed because it is such a big difference working middle school and working elementary school. Like, completely different world. Because I would say, like, my favorite time before was, like, around Christmas when it was, like, everyone was festive and they were, like, let's do this dance and let's do this and let's do that. And now I'm like, every day is a parade because every day is like colors and sunshine and hugs and kisses and like gifts.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Now, I have no specific time. Least favorite before October. I would be burnt out by October. And October is my favorite time, like,
I know, of the year. I know.
But, like, school year, I dreaded. I was like, after, like, the first 2 months, oh, I'm done. Like, I'm good.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Is October still least favorite, you think?
No. And I remember having a conversation with someone. I was like, oh, my gosh, burnout's coming. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, you're going to be fine. I don't think I burnt out this year. I don't think I burnt out, period. But I think, like,
No way.
I'm so serious.
Wow.
It has been smooth sailing.
Wow.
I'm not going to say smooth sailing. It has not been smooth sailing. But
yeah.
in comparison to the life that I was living in the other campus, this has been life-changing.
Yeah, it's all relative. You're like, okay, maybe we're not smooth sailing, but compared
to. Yeah, because I'm also, like, I'm a para, so it's the same bullshit everywhere. Like, I get placed in classrooms that aren't my assigned classrooms, and I'm teaching classes and whatever, so.
Classic.
Yeah, that never changes. But I mean, I enjoy it, and it's a challenge because every day, like, I don't ever know what I'm gonna walk into. So
you're very good at it too.
I've been told, and like, I had my end of the year meeting, and she was like, "You're just so flexible, and you take everything like so well, and all the changes and blah." And I was like, I feel like every day I walk in, I'm like, fuck are you gonna make me do today, dog? Like, what are you, like, why am I here? But she was like, you do it so well with so much grace and poise. I'm like, thanks, because inside I'm dying.
I know. You're like, glad that's not showing externally.
But what was your favorite?
Ooh, tough. I think I liked. Okay, hot take. I can't stand the beginning of the school year. I can't stand it. Like, all the teachers going back to school, I'm having flashbacks. And, like, oh my goodness, like, the stress of, like, decorating your room and arranging everything and bringing it all in and organizing it and putting up bulletin boards and, like, the prep just absolutely drains me. Like, I found that to be one of the most exhausting times of the year. I remember my first year teaching, there was a teacher on campus. I don't know if she made it to, like, the third week, honestly. And she'd been teaching for a long time.
Oh my gosh.
And she told me, though, after the first day of school, she says, you will never be as tired as you are after the first day of school. She's like, in my entire career, every time it's the first day of school, I go home and I fall asleep.
Yeah.
And I don't wake up again until the next day. Like, she's like, right after school. So, I think that holds true. Because then you're also, like, there's a lot of, like, interpersonal dynamics you're trying to navigate, too. And I kind of like once the ship is in motion and, like, you have good relationship with people on your team and you know about their lives and, like, you can ask them about things. So I think I would say I like the second half of the school year better. But that gets tricky because that's, like, testing season. It's really stressful because it's very performance-based and I take up issues with the tests and just the nature of standardized testing. So I would have to say my favorite time of year is probably right after testing's over, but before, like, the end of the year, because the end of the year is sad because you're gonna, like, you've built all these bonds and then they're leaving, but there's, like, kind of this sweet spot where you're no longer testing, so the pressure's off a little bit, so you can have a little more fun with your curriculum and do, like, projects and stuff.
Like, what would that be, like late April, early May?
Yes, that is my sweet spot. I think late April, early May. That's what I'm going to go with.
Final answer.
Final answer. Lock me in.
What would be your least favorite?
The beginning of the year.
Yes, because of the all the planning and stuff, which you knew, like, I love that stuff. Like, you were like, I need to put this up. You were like, here's the mission. I'm like, let me get it done.
I know. I was like, okay, give this girl a stapler and she's off to the races. Like, all my boards are, everyone's like, your classroom's already done. I'm like, mine and Bianca's classroom. That's all her. But yeah, I remember when we were, like, labeling all the books too, and you're like doing your donors choose, trying to get all the supplies for your kids, and sometimes it can be hard to be like so forward thinking. And it's a lot.
Yeah. It's
And then,
hectic.
and then it's discouraging because you just 3 months prior tore it all down. So to come in and reset it back up is like, are you kidding me? Like, I swear I was just here tearing all this down. Yeah.
So, preguntó cuál es mi favorito tiempo del año escolar y mi no favorito. What is Jeez Louise. Anyway, so yo le estaba contando que a mí me gusta mucho. Ha sido diferente ahora que estoy trabajando con los niños más chiquitos, pero antes mi tiempo favorito era como a los tiempos festivos, porque siempre hacíamos bailes o diferentes eventos en la escuela, pero ahora todos los días es especial, porque trabajando con los niños chiquitos, like, ellos todo es like mariposas y unicornios, y entonces me gusta mucho porque siempre es un positivo, el tiempo positivo. I don't even remember what I said my least favorite time was. Did I answer that? What is my least favorite time?
October.
Oh my gosh. PTSD. Yeah, so antes cuando estábamos en la última escuela, ya cuando era como octubre, ya quería que se terminara el año, like, después de los primeros 2 meses, it's like, can it be Christmas? Like, ya necesito mi descanso. Pero no es igual ahora. No sé si sea porque son diferentes niños o porque es una diferente escuela, pero el año pasado, fue mucho más fácil navegar todo lo que todas las diferencias que han pasado. Y ella dijo que su tiempo que no le gusta es cuando empieza el año escolar, porque tiene que hacer mucho planear y cuando estamos haciendo el salón y es mucho trabajo y muy estresante, y su tiempo favorito es después de los exámenes, pero antes de que termine el año, porque al final del año es muy triste, porque todas las relaciones que hiciste con los niños y con tus compañeros del trabajo se tienen que terminar, porque todos están moviéndose a su próximo año. Yeah. Sometimes it goes really easily, and sometimes it's like a struggle. I forget.
Does your mom join and help you out?
Yeah, sometimes my mom, but then like she's watching the kids right now, so she's probably like has it playing somewhere, and it's like the kids are probably in the bath or something. Like, I was like, hey, because we had a lot of like miscommunications today.
A lot of logistics
going on, and I was like, so like, what are we doing? So do I tell her to come here? Like, I need you to tell me what to do, because you're gonna have the kids.
Yeah.
But
it's up to you. It's your call. We'll do whatever you need.
I know, girl. It's been a struggle, and it was definitely a lot easier when I was recording from the other house, because it was like, I know there's not going to be any extra noises going on or anything like that. But I've been on the move lately. Like, the majority of the podcasts that I've done recently have been like, I'm coming to you because I know that I don't, like, we're going to be somewhere and we're going to get it done. Like,
I know, I was so impressed. You just came in here, set up shop. I'm like, oh, she's got this shit down.
Yeah, and I wish that I was more consistent. Like, I was definitely more consistent last season, because it was like weekly, and I did it. Like, I was like, there's no way I'm canceling. If someone cancels on me, I'm gonna find someone to replace them. I'm gonna get it done. But there's just been so many moving parts this year, so it's like I need to just give myself grace And if it can't get done, it doesn't get done. And if it gets done, it gets done. And I have another podcast going too. So, yeah.
You have another podcast?
Yeah, I have this podcast. I have another podcast. I'm working on 2 books.
So that takes me to my next point. Am I allowed to ask questions?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, I need to interview Bianca because how... Well, did you want to translate that last part before I get into my
I don't
next
even
question?
remember what I was saying. So, le estaba diciendo que no he sido tan consistente esta temporada, como la temporada pasada era cada semana un nuevo capítulo, ya tenía mi schedule, like, y si alguien cancelaba, encontraba a alguien para tomar su lugar. Pero esta temporada he decidido tomarla más fácil. Tengo muchas cosas pasando en mi vida en este momento. Entonces, si pasa el podcast esta semana, sí. Si no, hasta la próxima. Y si no, hasta cuando ya hemos hablado mucho de tomar tiempo para tu salud mental y no me voy a estar estresando por cosas que no puedo controlar o que no se pueden cambiar. Entonces, si tengo la oportunidad de hacer capítulos, los hago, y si no, no los hago porque tengo este podcast, tengo otro podcast, estoy trabajando en 2 libros, tengo 2 trabajos, entonces... Y luego dijo ella que me quiere preguntar cosas, so go ahead.
Can you please describe your writing process? And I will preface this by saying, I want to write a book. I want to write a children's book. But every time I sit down to do it, Kojo, I mentioned him earlier, he's my dog and my pride and joy, and I'm a freak, and I talk as if I'm Kojo all the time. Like, to the point where when I go out of town, my boyfriend's like, it's extra lonely when you're gone because it's like you leave and Kojo leaves, He's like, there's
no extra voice.
There's constant talking. I talk all day. I'm sure as everyone on here has realized, I can talk. And I love to just chit chat. And luckily my boyfriend does too, so it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
We'll just talk. Like, that's, I swear, how we fell in love. Just couldn't stop talking to each other. Anyway, so I want to write a book for Kojo. I want to write it from Kojo's point of view.
Cute.
And I have all the concepts, and I speak in his voice all day, so I thought this will be a breeze. But I've had a really hard time, so please. What's your process?
Well, I don't know. So you should actually get in touch with Kara. Kara just released the children's book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw that, but I thought it was... For some reason, I thought that the artwork on it was for her album or for a song.
She released the book. So I interviewed her last year, and that's when she gave the first I'm gonna release the book, and then we were like, oh my god, breaking news! But yeah, she did a book, children's book. I think it's gonna be a 2-book
Cute. Oh,
yeah.
Love you,
So
Kara.
I would probably get in touch with her. And if you haven't checked it out, Sugar and Spice has been dropped. Go check out her new book. Let me say that in Spanish before I forget. So, ella quiere empezar a hacer un libro, tiene una idea, lo quiere hacer del punto de vista de su perro, que se llama Kojo. Entonces me preguntó que cómo es mi estructura cuando estoy escribiendo mis libros. Le dije que necesita que contactarse con Kara, que ya la he entrevistado. Tiene un libro que acaba de sacar, Sugar and Spice. Yeah. So
Cute title.
I know,
Kara's
right? And
the
it's
best.
so cute.
Kara, we love you.
We love you, Kara.
We love you, Kara.
And she's probably going to see this later. She's going to be like,
I know.
because she's very good at keeping up with the podcast.
Really?
Yes.
She's the best.
So my first book that I wrote, I've been writing that since I was working over there, since I want to say 2021 was when I started writing it. And I just started it was not going to be a book. It was just glimpses of short stories.
Yeah.
That I was posting on Instagram.
Yep. I remember.
And
you were cranking them out.
Yeah,
too.
it was like boom, boom, boom,
I was
boom.
like,
and people started like getting into them. They'd like comment. They're like, "What's gonna happen next?" And I remember someone being like, "Oh my gosh, is this a book?" And I was like, "No, I'm just like writing and like putting it out as I go." And they were like, "You should make this a book." And so I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna make a book." And I started like putting everything together. But since it was just like pieces, there was so many like blanks in between. So I've had to like go in like from the start and be like, let me fill in these gaps. And I think I don't even remember like what my mindset was when I started writing this stuff, because I go back and I'm like, why did I write this? Like, what was I thinking that made me think like this is what you should put out into the internet? Because there's some like moments where it's like, this is really sad. Like, why did I say this?
You're like, ooh,
and
what
then
am I
was
going
like,
through?
oh, literally, like, what was I going through that made me write this? And I remember like one of my dad's sisters asking me one day, like, so where do you get the inspiration? I'm like, God knows, I don't. Like, I have no idea.
So where do you get the inspiration?
I just be saying shit. But yeah, so when it comes to like structure, I didn't have one. I just kind of like wrote and have been filling in gaps.
Are you a typer?
I am a typer. Well, it depends. So the second book that I have is a poetry and prose book. So it's like more fluid, and that the majority of it has been like handwritten. So it's like a collection of like, I found one of my journals.
The best.
I found one of my journals and I was like, what the fuck is this?
You're like, I'm so dramatic. Who is
This
she?
is so dramatic. Like, literally, like, this is so dramatic. Like, who is this girl? And then I typed it up, and I actually have it pulled up, and you can see it. But, so...
This is it?
Yes.
So when you started the podcast, for all of you at home who can't see, when she started, she has her laptop here, and she opened it up, and I saw the title, and then I could see she was like typing, and it looks like a book, like it looks like a book, just like not printed, a digital book. I'm a Kindle girl myself, and so I can spot a digital text a mile away, and I was sitting here, and that's what made me ask that question, because I'm like, how do you do this?
Yeah, so this one is called...
This is cute, Bianca!
It's called Letters to My Lost Loves. And I cranked this out, I kid you not, 2 days. In 2 days. So...
How?
I took all of the writing that I had, and then I took all of the writing that I had in my notes app. I went through my notes app for hours finding stuff that I was like, oh, I could use this. I don't know why I wrote this. This is weird. Delete. Like, and so I just started like transferring it onto a document, and it just became a thing. And I was like, I'm going to publish this. And I sent it to 3 people. And I was like, what do you think about this? And they were like, this is so good. Like, I love this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay, yeah, I'm going to publish this. I reached out to one of my friends. I was like, you want to do art, like the cover art for my book? And she was like, fuck it, why not? And so she did the cover.
Oh my gosh, that's like an original...
So that's the cover. I'm not showing you.
I know, sorry.
But yeah, so that's my cover. And I remember I told her, I was like, you're going to think I'm weird, but I want like a faceless girl holding her heart and blood coming down her hands. And she was like, I can do that. And I'm like, okay, I thought you were going to say that like I was insane. But yeah, so she gave me a cover. I'm going to release it through Amazon. Like, I have a whole ISBN and everything. Like, I'm just waiting on the rest of my art.
See, y'all are so inspiring, because I've been talking about writing my book for years, and I sit down to do it, and I have writer's block. I don't have a voice, which is so weird, because he has a voice, but when I go to translate it, and my boyfriend, he suggested doing something like, he said, okay, well, since you talk for him all the time, a lot of people will write their books by voice recording first, and it'll transcribe it.
Yeah.
But you just like straight up sit down and type it out.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like,
if you could see, y'all, it's like 80 pages long, and just I did this in 2 days.
I mean, I've added bits and pieces of it. It's been like revised and edited multiple times. I literally was sitting in traffic today adding to it because sometimes it's just like, and I'm one of those people is like, if I get the inspiration, I'm writing it down, I'm recording it, I'm doing something, I need to get it down because it's going to go away.
I noticed that when you said your notes app is full. I'm like, my notes app is grocery lists.
Yeah, no.
It's not full of my thoughts.
Down, like somewhere, someplace. So I would like definitely, especially since you do the voice, record it. And then take those moments to like, okay, then you could do what I did with the other one is like piece it together. Okay, I said this. What can I say based off that like moment that I recorded? Mm-hmm. How can I build from that one moment?
Okay. I'm inspired. Seriously, I can't wait for you all to go out and buy her book.
Oh my gosh, yes, please.
It looks amazing. She's already got it all queued up on Amazon because they do the self-publishing, right? So how does that work? Well, sorry, you probably want to translate first.
Oh, shit, yeah. So, les estaba contando que mi primer libro, like, ya saben que empecé en Instagram, nomás estaba poniendo diferentes notas en Instagram y personas empezaron a comentar y querían saber qué iba a pasar la próxima vez que ponía algo y like I didn't have a schedule, like I literally would just like put out and go as it came to me. So la gente no sabía cuándo iba a pasar el próximo like capítulo. Y alguien me preguntó, oh, ¿este es un libro? Y les dije, no, este no es un libro, debes de hacer un libro. Entonces, el año pasado, I think last year was when I started putting the book together. So, el año pasado decidí hacerlo un libro y empecé a darme cuenta que había muchos lugares donde necesitaba que llenar los vacíos porque como no era una historia consistente, necesitaba que agregar más detalles. Y así es como empezó mi primer libro. Mi segundo libro lo hice en 2 días. Encontré un diario que tenía y empecé a leerlo y dije, oh my God, esta niña es muy dramática, yo no la conozco, pero me di cuenta que eran poemas y momentos que se podían, los podría what is share, compartir, you know. Dije, estos son momentos que tal vez otra persona ha sentido, entonces lo puse todo en un documento y se los mandé a 3 de mis amigas y les dije, miren, ¿qué piensan de esto? Y me empezaron a decir, oh my God, me encanta, lo amo, está precioso todo esto, lo que estás diciendo. Entonces dije, ok, lo voy a hacer un libro. Entonces, tomé todas las notas de ese diario, las notas que tengo en mi teléfono, porque yo soy alguien que cuando tengo una idea o una inspiración, like, lo necesito que escribir antes de que se me vaya, porque luego se me va y nunca me voy a acordar lo que dije. Entonces tenía muchas ideas en mis notas y lo puse todo en el documento y ahora es un libro. He cambiado muchas cosas desde la primera vez que se las mandé a mis amigas, pero estoy muy emocionada para poder sacar ese libro. Y ya, tengo una amiga que me hizo el cover, la portada, ¿se dice así? Y ya, le estaba diciendo que si ella necesita esa inspiración, como ella siempre está hablando por Cocho, grabar eso y luego tomar esos momentos que ella ha grabado y usar esos momentos para crear una historia. That's it, right?
I think so.
I thought that was
I think
it.
you got it. You're doing amazing. names.
Oh, thanks. That one came out a lot easier because it was like about me.
It's easy to remember what you said.
Yes.
It's how you think it through.
And then I feel like sometimes I'll like watch my podcast and I'm like, these people probably think that I'm not listening to them, but I am. But then it's like I have to listen and process and then speak, and it's like as I'm processing, I have to process in 2 languages. It's like I don't know what's going on.
It's a lot going on.
I remember when I would like translate meetings at school, and I'd be like, can you like give me a written document of what is going to be said, because I can't like on the spot compute everything. I just can't. I
know it almost is easier, or it seems easier to like do it in smaller bits, but then you don't want to break up the conversation that much because it's natural, like it's when it's flowing naturally. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there.
And when I first started, we do like all English and then all Spanish. So it'd be like 2 separate conversations, and then I didn't like that because there would be moments, like highlight moments in one language that I would then not be able to have in that other moment, and then it was like weird, like having to like go back and add them in.
Yeah.
So it was like, we're just gonna have to go back and forth because that's the way, the smoothest possible way to have everything said in both languages.
Yeah. And it's organic, you know? You don't want the one version to be like the true in the moment, and then the other one kind of be, that like it takes away from it. Yeah. So I love the way you do this podcast. I think it's so well done.
I'm trying my best. But how would you say your mental health is now that you are in a different career?
Ooh. I would say a lot better. Yeah, I would say a lot better. I have a very relaxed schedule. I am accountable for myself, and there is a lot within my control. And because I work with adults, they understand what is within your locus of control, what is not. And I feel like, especially me right now, I work at a startup, and so it's a really small team. And now the first job I took out of teaching, I wouldn't say that was the case. It was really stressful, like very like metric driven role, very like huge company. You're just a number, but now I'm like on a really small team, and I love it. Like I have such a good work-life balance. Sometimes if I'm like stressed partway through the day, I'll go I'll go work out or do something. I kind of have that freedom where I can be like, oh, I'll meet you for lunch. Yeah. Because I worked late last night, or, it kind of all evens out. So I just have more autonomy, and I feel like I'm able to do little things that help with my mental health because I'm at home. I will say something that's difficult is like getting out. Sometimes I'll like go get coffee just so I leave my house. Yeah. I'm sure you can relate because during COVID, I feel like a lot of people had that experience. And I still have that sometimes where I'm like running kind of meaningless errands or looking for an errand to run just so I can like get out and do something. But the blessing in all of that is that I have the time freedom to get out and run an errand and do something. Yeah. So I would say that part has been nice. And then there's little things like I love to cook. And so when I'm at home, I can like make us breakfast, make us a nice lunch, run and pick up my curbside order and like start dinner while I'm finishing meetings, and it can already be cooking, and I can like do laundry and make my bed because I'm home. And you don't come home and you're like, okay, I haven't gotten groceries.
I have to do this.
I haven't even had a chance to start dinner, and it's 6 o'clock. My room's a mess. I'm just going to sleep on a pile of clothes on my bed because that's where we're at. There's not, I won't say there's none of that, but there's not as much of that anymore. And I feel like that's really contributed. So I just feel like, I have the time and space that I need, and my job doesn't add, like, it can be stressful because it's kind of metric-driven, like, performance-driven, but just, like, you just show up and you do your job, and then it's not that complicated.
I feel like a lot of jobs would be a lot easier if people just, like, showed up and just did them and moved on.
I know.
Like, we don't need the extra power struggle. We don't need the extra drama. Let's just do our job.
Right. Yeah, the one piece that I'll say I probably struggle with is the social aspect, because I genuinely made so many good friendships and connections when I was teaching. And I'm not from here originally, from the Houston, I'm not even from Texas originally. I don't have my family out here, so I, like, my work friends and the people that I started with that first year really became like family to me and my lifeline. And then now I work at, when I started my first job out of teaching, it was a big company, so it was a lot of people on my team, and I had some good friendships there too. Now I work on a much smaller team. Like, there's like my CEO, who I interact with daily. That'll show you how small it is. And then there's like 4 other people besides me that like I interact with regularly. We have some people that like, you know, do like the IT technical stuff, but like that you interact with. And so that's maybe the one piece I struggle with, is the social aspect, and just like feeling like I have like friends and a network here, and like the social interactions throughout the day. But like I said, my boyfriend, he also works from home, and he loves to talk, and so
I'm sure y'all chat around all day.
Chat it up. We're just chit-chatting around here.
So, le pregunté que cómo ella cree que ha cambiado su salud mental ahora que tiene una nueva carrera, y dijo que piensa que es mejor ahora, trabaja desde su casa, entonces se le hace más fácil poder hacer cosas chiquitas que le ayudan con su salud mental, a sentirse mejor. Tiene tiempo para cocinar, para lavar su ropa, para hacer su cama. Entonces no está estresándose de que está regresando de trabajar a las 6 de la tarde, todavía no ha hecho nada de comer, se tiene que dormir en su cama llena de ropa porque está muy cansada para poner la ropa donde tiene que estar. Pero lo único que dice que sería mejor es si tuviera mejor relaciones sociales, porque como está trabajando en un lugar más chico ahora, no tiene la oportunidad que tenía antes para crear todas sus amistades. Ella no es originalmente de aquí de Texas, entonces cuando empezó a trabajar en la escuela, ahí es donde hizo todas sus amigas, todas sus amistades. Y luego su segundo trabajo saliéndose de allí también era una compañía grande, entonces tenía muchas personas con las que platicaba todos los días, y ahora es un equipo más chico, entonces no es tan fácil hacer esas relaciones. Y dijo también que es... that's what she said. Eso es todo lo que dijo. I don't know, like, yes.
Got it.
I got it.
Okay, I have a question for you now.
Yeah.
So what, if you think about like some of your favorite podcast guests that you've had on, what makes a good guest? Or like what has made like some of your favorite episodes?
Damn. I, as you know, am a very emotional person, so I want to say that my favorite episodes have been the ones where I've ended up crying, which is a terrible thing to say. But yeah, I think some of my favorite episodes have been the ones where I'm like, pass me the tissue, because it's just real raw emotion. I also love the episodes where it's like, we're just bullshitting, like we don't know what's going on. So like, I feel like my top episodes, like, I loved the episode with my parents, obviously. Those all ended in tears. I loved the episode with my brothers, because that was bullshit. Like, we're just...
You in your truest form with your siblings.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a mess. What else? The episode that I had with my my brother-in-law, I feel like that was one of those things where it's like, I see myself in you, and it's like beating me up. What else? I feel like this is really corny, but my episode with Michaela, like, because it's like we're like crying one second and then the next second we're laughing. It's like too much.
Typical.
And I want to say recently, one of my favorite episodes was Skylar and Lawrence. Like, we played like drunk card games and like made margaritas.
Oh,
and
fun.
I was not prepared for that episode. That episode was a mess also. And that was just so much fun because like, what is happening? What's it? And everyone was like asking questions. That was a very interactive episode.
Oh, that's really fun.
So that was definitely fun. And then my last episode, which was with Shayla and Phil and both of their daughters. So it was a lot going on.
Wow. That's a lot.
But I think what makes a good guest is just like people who are open to just having conversations. Because I've had a couple of guests where it's like I'm trying to dig deeper and they're just kind of like, here's an answer.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, can you give me anything else?
Yeah.
Like, well, here's the answer. And I'm like, okay,
You're like,
on to the next question.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're like, that's not how this works.
Okay.
I guess it's working that way
I
today,
guess
but
that's
not
what we're doing.
ideal. Yeah, okay, I can see that. That's fun, the interactive one with the cards and stuff.
Yes.
I have some little cards in my room I should have brought up here for us.
I mean, we can have another episode. We definitely need to do an episode with like me, you,
All of us.
Piper,
all of us.
Kayla, like the
Yes.
whole gang.
The whole shebang. That would be fun. Okay, I have another question. Oh, wait, did you want to translate?
Oh, yes. So preguntó que cuáles han sido mis favoritos capítulos y qué es lo que hace la persona que estoy entrevistando que sea una buena persona que estoy, I don't know how to say interviewee in Spanish, pero ya entienden. Le dije que mis favoritos capítulos son los donde he terminado llorando porque saben que soy una persona muy emocional, so me gusta poder relajarme y tener esas emociones. Entonces los capítulos que he tenido con mis papás, con mis hermanos también, porque también me gustan mucho los capítulos que no tienen estructura, que nomás estamos haciendo lo que sea. Los capítulos con mi mejor amiga y los últimos 2 capítulos que he tenido que han sido un poco sin estructura, que sería con uno que con Lawrence, que estábamos haciendo margaritas y teníamos cartas que estábamos jugando y muchas personas estaban haciendo preguntas ese día, entonces me gusta mucho cuando las personas hacen sus preguntas. Y el último capítulo que hice con Shayla y con Philip, The Pellerin Bunch, y ellas estuvieron sus hijas, entonces también teniendo esa diferente estructura donde tenemos varias personas y muchas personas están platicando. Y ya, le estaba diciendo que tenemos que tener una entrevista donde salga ella y Piper. Piper was on my show recently. Y Michaela, porque todas trabajamos juntas, entonces pienso que sería una buena experiencia poder todas estar en un capítulo juntas. You had another question?
I do. Okay. This question is, I mean, maybe you don't have to answer if your kids are going to watch this one, but do parents have favorite children?
Damn. I feel like my kids are too different for me to say that I have a favorite, because I have favorite things about each of them. I wouldn't say that I have a favorite child. Now, we've discussed this on multiple occasions when my parents have been on the podcast. People are like, who is the favorite? But I think
Do they deny having a favorite?
they deny having a favorite every time. They deny having a favorite.
You have to have a favorite,
And it's
right?
like, we're all so old at this point, like, you have to be able to pick.
Yeah. Well, in your case, you have the two, and you have a boy and a girl. So I can see.
And I have the introvert and I have the extrovert. Like, they're just completely different people.
But if you threw a third one in the mix, you might be able to pick a favorite.
Yeah, we're not throwing any more in the mix anytime soon. But yeah, I feel like maybe it would be different if I had another one. Because
So your parents should for sure be able to pick.
Yeah. Like, hello, if you're watching, who's the favorite? But yeah, and every sibling has a different opinion too. Like one of them's like, you're the favorite. The other one's like, no, you're the favorite. And then it's like, no, he's clearly the favorite. So, and I think it depends on the day too when it comes with my parents.
And the parent. Do y'all think your parents have the same favorite,
No.
or do you distinguish?
No, we all think that they each have different favorites.
What's your take?
I think that I have a special place in both of their hearts because I'm the only girl.
Same.
But yeah, I don't know. When it comes to me, I have no idea. I feel like I definitely have different, I have favorite things about each of them, but I wouldn't say that I have a favorite yet. Maybe one day. I'm not gonna say that I'm never gonna have a favorite.
Who makes you laugh more of your kids?
That also depends, because my daughter is a very interactive child, very out there, so she does things that make me laugh. But then my son has the same dark humor that I do, so he'll say things and I'm just like, what the fuck, that was so uncalled for, why would you do that? So I think
except I know why.
Yeah, so it's things that she does and things that he says.
Okay.
Will make me laugh.
Okay. So you were just cracking up.
Girl,
pure entertainment.
My daughter was twerking yesterday, full on, hands on knees, twerking, and we're like, what the fuck?
You're like, Michaela.
Because she didn't get that from me.
Michaela.
Where did you see that? That was so weird. And then
she's not shy with it either.
And so I was like, oh yeah, she went like this, right? And she was like, no, like this. I'm like, oh my god.
What? I tried to bail you
out. What has this child done? But me preguntó si tengo un favorito hijo. Y le digo que yo tengo cosas favoritas de cada niño, pero no tengo un favorito todavía, tal vez un día, pero en este momento son tan diferentes que no puedo decir que tengo un favorito. Mi hija es muy and Michaela says it all the time, she's like, they're literally both sides of you, because I'm a very I can be out there and do the thing, but I'm also I want to be home.
Yeah.
Let me write a book. Let me write a book, but I'm also let me go to the bar. So
I'm gonna shut down the club.
Yes. So I definitely feel like they're both me in different varieties. Pero pienso que por ahora no tengo un favorito. Les estaba diciendo que, han preguntado miles de veces en este programa si mis papás tienen un favorito y no han contestado. Necesitamos que den una respuesta, quién es el favorito, porque yo tengo dos y son muy diferentes. Tengo una niña, tengo un niño, una está muy loca y el otro es muy callado, entonces es diferente, es más difícil distinguir si tengo un favorito, pero ellos ya tienen 4 hijos, entonces necesitan que decidirse de quién es el favorito. Y what else did I say?
How they make you laugh.
Oh yeah. Preguntó quién me hace reír más. Le dije que depende, porque mi hija hace cosas que me hacen reír, pero mi hijo dice cosas que me hacen reír. Él tiene un sentido de humor muy diferente, y ella es muy animada, hace muchas cosas que me quedo pensando ¿por qué hiciste eso? Anoche estaba, ¿cómo se dice twerking? Estaba twerking, y dije, ¿de dónde sacó esto? No entiendo, porque yo no hago eso. Pero pienso que son muy diferentes mis hijos, de las dos diferentes partes que soy yo. Yo soy alguien que me gusta ir y estar de party, pero también soy alguien que me gusta estar en casa y escribir libros. So, son me, mini me's. They're literally mini me's.
That is there anything better in the world?
No.
I am like so excited to think about a mini-me. Are you kidding? That's so special. Was it hard to pick their names?
So my son is named after his dad. My daughter. So this is really gross and corny, and I'll never think that I ever said this on my podcast, but like me and her dad's song, like when we were dating, was "Hey There, Delilah." So her middle name is Delilah. That's where Delilah came from.
That is hilarious for one, because what an era.
Yeah.
That song was everywhere. And it's a good song. I still fuck with it. And that's really cute though.
Yeah, so that's where Delilah came from. And Eliana, I want to say, so it has a meaning. I want to say that he was like, I want the name to start with an E. Like, I was like, okay, that's weird. But I started like researching names, and I can't think of what it means right now. Hold on. But it has like a meaning, because I was like, God has answered. Because yeah, I was like, I need my child to like have a meaning. And then now, 3 years later, I don't remember what the meaning was. But in the moment, I was like, this is deep.
Has to have it.
But yeah, I want to say that I chose that name because it was like, I always wanted a girl, and we didn't think that we would have one because there's not a lot of girls in the family. So it was like, God has answered. I don't have to have any more children because here's my daughter that I asked for. Yeah, that's where their names came from.
Oh, that's a good one. Did you have a list going in?
I had a list of girl and boy. Like, I didn't have like a running list of girl names and a running list of boy names.
It was one each?
Yeah.
Okay.
So with him, like, we knew from jump it's a boy, and we knew from jump it's gonna be named after him. And then with her, it was like it could be either or, and we had the girl name, and then the boy name was gonna be Mario Alonso, which is actually named after my dad's old boss, from which I saw him like a few weeks ago when we visited Michigan, and I was like, did I ever tell you that I was gonna name my child after you?
Oh.
But yeah, and then Alonso would have been the middle name, and that's one of my friends who passed, his middle name, so it would have been named after him. But yeah, with like my son, we didn't even like have girl names. Like, we had a girl name, but I can't even tell you what it was because it was like we picked a name thinking there's no way it's gonna be a girl, so who cares?
Oh, those are good stories. I always feel like names are hard because you want them to fit the kid, and I feel like yours do.
Yeah. I feel like they grew into their names.
Yeah, exactly. So which way does it work? Because some people will say like they chose a name for their kid and it just doesn't fit Kylie Jenner. But they say that like, that they just have to change it because they're like, you're not a blank.
So-and-so. Yeah. No, I don't know. Like, I never thought about it that far. It was like I chose names that meant something in that moment, and that's your name, and that's your name.
It's a big commitment.
I mean, I didn't have a choice about my name.
Do you feel like you do well with commitment? Like, are you good at committing to things?
No. I've talked about this on multiple occasions. I have commitment issues. It's because I'm such a 0 or 100 person. Like,
all or nothing.
All or nothing.
Yeah, me too.
So it's like
Scorpio in us.
Yeah. Very intense. Like, it's either yes or it's either no. Like, so if I find something and I decide to like commit to it, and I decide like I actually don't like this, it's like bye. There's no like, just goodbye.
It's a good way to be decisive. Actually, there's this book. Can you look up on here? I'm Surrounded by Idiots. Like idiots, and then can you do personality colors? Yes, and then images. Haha. Oh shoot. Okay.
Just open it.
I swear I have a MacBook, guys. You wouldn't know. Okay. Out of the words up top, which color describes you?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So, for everyone who can't see this, there are 4 different colors: red, yellow, green, and blue. And these personalities, they fall into one of these colors, and they give you a whole list of traits. And it's in this book, it's in the front of the book, but if you just Google "I'm surrounded by idiots" book personality colors and go to images, you'll see the red, yellow, green, blue chart, and then it has a list of attributes, and it's what color are you, is what I'm asking her. So I'll just name a few. Red is aggressive, ambitious, strong-willed, goal-oriented, pushing, decisive. Yellows are more like bubbly personalities: talkative, enthusiastic, creative, social, charming. Green is patient, relaxed, reliable, modest, understanding, discreet, good listener, helpful. And blue is sympathetic, conventional, analytical. You need like processing time. You need time to think about things.
I feel like there's no in between with this. Like
no,
I feel like I'm either really red or really blue.
Okay.
Can I be purple?
I'm no purple. Which of the negative traits seem to stand out to you most between red and blue?
Describing me?
Yeah. Thinking about your negative traits.
Well, darn. I don't know, because I feel like I'm none of these negatives. Definitely, yeah, probably red. No, blue. Oh my god.
Well, one of the ones on blue, which she identifies it as, is
Indecisive.
There you go. There you have it.
I'm blue.
Isn't this a fun one?
Yes.
I'll show you the book downstairs. They have another one that shows you like, it breaks it down even further. That one is in the book I'm Surrounded by Narcissists, I think. So if you want to look up that color one, the way it breaks it down in that book is a little more even. Like it does it by like what do you avoid? What are your fears? What's your working style? Like it breaks it down more. What do you think your kids are?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay.
I love talking about people's kids, by the way. So if you're on here, you must be a kid lover because we're going to talk about kids.
Okay. I feel like JD's definitely blue. And I feel like Eliana is probably yellow.
That's cute.
Yeah. Definitely. So I have a blue and a yellow, and I'm blue.
Oh. A yellow? I love yellows. I think they're like such fun people. Yellow's a good one. That was fun, right?
That was fun. I'm like, now I have to remember where I stopped translating.
We stopped translating at the names, I think, of your kids.
Yeah, so me preguntó de dónde vinieron los nombres de mis niños. Le dije que mi hijo tiene el nombre de su papá. Esa fue una decisión muy fácil. Like, sabíamos que iba a ser un niño y sabíamos que lo íbamos a nombrar después como su papá. Mi hija, su Segundo nombre es Delilah. Y esa es porque hay una canción que se llama Hey There Delilah, que era una canción que yo y su papá escuchábamos mucho cuando éramos novios. Y su nombre es Eliana. Habíamos decidido que, bueno, él había decidido que quería que el nombre empezara con una E. Entonces empecé a mirar nombres que empezaran con esa letra. Y yo quería un nombre que tuviera un significado especial, que tuve que buscar en Google porque no me acordaba qué era lo que significaba, pero Eliana significa Dios cumplió mis sueños. Y era el sueño de tener una hija porque, como saben, en nuestras familias no hay muchas niñas, entonces me dio la niña y ya pude parar de tener hijos porque yo pensaba que iba a tener que tener como 8 niños para poder sacar una niña, pero ya, la segunda niña, I was like, okay, God answered my prayers, we're good. Y luego estamos mirando unos colores oh no, le estaba diciendo que con Juan Diego, like, no teníamos otra opción. Sí teníamos otra opción para nombre de niña, pero la verdad ni me acuerdo cuál era la otra opción porque ya teníamos, like, en nuestras mentes, like, habíamos, ya sabíamos que iba a ser niño. Era muy probable que iba a ser niño, entonces ya teníamos el nombre. Con Eliana, sí teníamos un nombre por si ella sería niño. Se iba a llamar Mario Alonso. Mario, después de él, él era ¿cómo se dice boss? El jefe de mi papá cuando vivíamos en Michigan. Y Alonso es el segundo nombre de un amigo mío que falleció, entonces Mario Alonso. Y luego miramos una lista de colores, es como de tu personalidad, y me dijo que decidiera cuál era yo, y yo estaba entre dos colores y luego tiene diferentes like negativos sobre esos colores, y uno de los negativos para el color azul, porque estaba entre rojo y azul, uno de los negativos del color azul es que no puedes hacer decisiones, obvio, soy azul, porque no me podía decidir cuál color era. Y luego dije que mi hijo es azul y mi hija es amarillo de los colores.
Okay, good. You killed that one too.
Yay! I'm very good at talking about myself.
You know, that's what we're all here for. You're the common ground anyway, so. Do your guests ask you a lot of questions?
I used to get a lot of questions when I was more consistent, but now I feel like people are like, "Hello, are you still alive?" Like,
yeah, they're like, "Oh,
you're still doing this thing." Yeah. But yeah, I used to like consistent, like, so can we have a life update? So what's going on? So you haven't talked about this in a while. Can you have an episode about this? Not so much anymore, but I'm also like not as active on social media as I was before. Like before, I had like scheduled dates of like, this is the day I'm recording, this is the day I'm posting, this is the day I'm posting.
It's a lot. This. Content creation is hard work. When anyone is like, oh, I just want to like be one of those TikTokers and not have to work, it's like, no, they're grinding. It's a grind.
Yeah, it was a lot, but I was working. It was when I was working my last year that I worked over there. And so I was only working half a day. So I had that entire other half a day to like do my content. And now it's more like, okay, when it gets done, it gets done. When it gets posted, it gets posted. When I record, I record. And then I have this other podcast, and I'm like, oh, like I have to keep up with too many things. And I'm also like limited on my social media activity now because of everything going on outside of my life, like on the outside of my life. So it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I feel like you're one of the people I know that you really will jump in and embrace it. Like, so many people talk about doing stuff. You really do shit without talking about it, which is the best way to be. I'm over here telling everyone I want to write a children's book, and like, find me in 5 years, I'm going to be like, yeah, well, I've always wanted to write a children's book, you know, and you're like, oh no, I'm publishing my poems, I've got my book going, my friend made the cover, like, you're efficient.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the hardest part, is just doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
So I guess that leads me to my next question. What would be your dream? Is it writing? Is it content creation? Like, what's like, you would not even you would do it for free, like, you know, let's say $200,000 a year you're making to do something. What would that be?
Honestly, I feel like I'm like you in the sense of like, I just want to change the world. I just want to change the world. And I feel like whatever I can do to help someone in some way, that's what I want to do. Yeah. Like, we have this conversation with like my family a lot, where it's like, my dad one day was like, oh, all of my kids are like, just like, I don't remember what word he used, but pretty much like, y'all are just noble people. Like, you just want to help. No one's like going into a career for the money. Yeah. Everyone's doing something to make an impact. And so I feel like my goal, my dream is to leave a mark. So whether that be with my podcast, which I've already had people like, which is the reason that I kept doing it, was like, I had people reach out and they're like, I went through the same thing because I listened to your story. I no longer feel alone. Same thing with this book. Is like, there are moments that I wrote about where it's like, in that moment, I know when I wrote it, I felt like the world was crumbling. I felt like nothing was okay. And so if I'm able to put that out there and have someone be receptive to it and be like, I was there also, that would make me happy. With the other books, same thing. Is like, there's moments where it's like, this is dark, like, and I don't know why I decided to share this, but I'm going to share this. And if someone is able to connect, then so be it. Yeah. Same thing with like education. I want to continue to like, I feel like I'm a lifelong learner, and I want to be able to share that with people so that they're able to learn and they're able to grow. So, goal, dream, make them work.
I love that. It's very like, it's not so pigeonholed or like literal, like just about, it's bigger than the job. It's bigger than what you're doing itself. It's the impact. It's the effect. Yeah. That's beautiful. What a good answer.
Thanks. I feel like I'm in a pageant. Like, let's save the world.
I know.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people, like, they'll be like, because I've had this conversation with some people and they're like, well, that's not a concrete answer. I'm like,
concrete as it gets. So that's my purpose.
What, like, you want me to be like, I want to make $200,000 like sitting in front of a phone? Like, no.
Yeah, it's bigger than that. I think that's a perfect answer. We'll get better than that.
You see me almost getting emotional. I'm like, it's a valuable answer, y'all.
It's a great answer. That's a great answer. I might steal it. Like, well, I just want...
So me preguntó cuál es mi meta en mi vida. Y le estaba diciendo que hemos tenido esta conversación en la casa. Like, mi papá ha dicho, no me acuerdo cuál era la palabra que usó, pero... sobre yo y mis hermanos, que somos personas muy nobles, somos personas que no estamos escogiendo nuestro futuro basado en dinero. Queremos hacer un impacto con todo lo que hacemos, y yo pienso que esa es like mi meta de mi vida. Like, mi propósito es poder hacer un impacto, no importa qué tan grande o qué tan chico. Yo por eso seguí con mi podcast. Like, tuve personas que me se contactaron conmigo después de los primeros capítulos y dijeron, yo también pasé por lo mismo, porque tú dijiste lo que tú dijiste, no me sentí tan sola por lo que he pasado yo. Y es lo mismo con mis 2 libros, hay momentos que escribí que yo sé que cuando estaba escribiendo eso, yo me sentía sola, me sentía como que el mundo se estaba acabando, y si tengo la oportunidad what is share? De compartir eso, compartir esos momentos, compartir esas emociones y que la gente lo reciba, es lo único que quiero, con mis podcasts, con mis libros, con siendo maestra. Queremos cambiar el mundo, y eso es lo que yo quiero hacer, esa es mi meta, eso yo pienso que es mi propósito para vivir, hacer un impacto, cambiar el mundo de alguien, no importa si es algo grande, algo chico, con poder ayudar a alguien de alguna manera, eso es lo que yo quiero hacer. Yeah.
I'm seriously stealing that one.
You can, I should put it in my book, copyright it.
Yeah.
You cannot steal it.
Can you imagine?
I will
Bianca
sue.
sues me. Bianca sues my ass.
So, before we end, do you want to give us your goal? What is your goal? What is your dream?
Oh my gosh, it's really hard. I think kind of similarly, just doing something that you love outside of the money. I think that's always the dream, ideally. I remember one time I did a program called Teach for America, and a lot of college graduates apply, and it's really, really competitive. And if you make it to be selected, then you are placed throughout the U.S. and in a district, which is why I moved to Houston, because I'm originally from the Pacific Northwest. So that's what brought me down here in the first place. And we always had to do trainings and stuff with other people who were teachers and other people who were part of Teach for America. And there was this one couple, and they had been in teaching for a really, really long time. Probably 10 years or so, 8 to 10, I would say, that's a long time to me. And his wife, as a husband and a wife, and his wife left teaching, and when we asked him, well, why? He said, well, she went on to work for this organization that helps with children who have been trafficked. And when I heard that, I just felt like, that's a job? How do I have that job? Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of my big passions. If I could work for free, I'd probably work on for a nonprofit that just helps with, because it's, first off, I'm sure I don't have to tell anyone this, but the most inhumane, cruel thing is to mess with a child, mm-hmm. To steal a child, abduct a child, make a child scared, all of those things. It's just the most corrupt, worst thing I can think of, and there are people fighting that fight every single day. And so I think that it's kind of a new revelation for me, but I think that would be it. If I could just do something that is meaningful, it involves kids. I love kids, and so like I said, I could talk about kids all day. I talk about your kids literally all day. And yeah, I think that would be it for me.
So le pregunté antes de que terminemos hoy cuál es su meta, qué es lo que ella quiere hacer, y dijo similar a lo que yo, hacer un impacto. Ella, cuando estaba en el programa Teach for America, cuando empezó a ser maestra, estuvo en contacto con una pareja, un señor y una señora, y ellos eran maestros por muchos años, pero ella se salió de ser maestra para trabajar en una organización que combata Damn, I just had the word. El tráfico de niños. Y ella se dio cuenta que ella quiere hacer algo similar a poder ayudar y hacer un impacto para los niños. Sí, yeah. That is what you said?
Yep, that's what I said. I teach for America. And
You heard kids?
yeah, the words I could pick up, I picked up. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's me.
That's you, and that's me.
Linka, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
This was so fun. We have to do a quad.
We'll get together. We'll definitely get together. Like, that's definitely gonna happen.
I'll bring my question cards that are downstairs.
Yes, that would be so much fun.
Let's do it on a non-work night.
Non-work night.
I guess you always film on the same day.
I always film on Wednesdays. That's usually when I film. I'm not gonna say that I've never not filmed on a Wednesday because I have filmed on other days. So I'm open to filming on a
maybe
different
over
day.
Thanksgiving break. Well, I guess Thanksgiving's on Thursday. We'll figure it out.
We'll get together. We'll
take
get
the
it done.
logistics offline. We'll get it done. I'll be back, but I seriously had the best time, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. Nos vemos. I don't know when. Maybe next week. Maybe not. But